When starting to get into bigger properties and buying larger commercial deals, people often wonder how to get $1 million loan for real estate. If you're going to really get to that next level, you're going to have to start busting into some bigger loans for bigger projects. But how do you actually get that done, especially if you've never done it before? Let's go. Hey there, my name is Mike Fritz. I'm the founder of Titanium Capital Investments and the Multifamily CEO System. We've got millions and millions of dollars of real estate under contract doing exactly what I'm going to share with you in this video. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 things you need to know if you're going to get $1 million loan for real estate. And stick around to the end because I'm going to share my story of the first time I ever got $1 million loan. Let's hit it. The very first thing you need to know if you're going to get $1 million real estate loan is the amount required from a bank. And when you get into those size loans, banks are going to require 20 to 30% down for any type of project. Now, the more risky the project, the more the bank is going to require down. If you're getting a run-of-the-mill project like a multifamily property or even an industrial property that stays rented and has a strong rental history and has good income, then the bank can lower that amount and really come closer to that 20%. But you can pretty much guarantee 25% is an average down payment that you're going to need if you're going to get into this $1 million loan category for your next real estate deal. But understand, as you get loans like this, it's way more about what's upstairs than what's on your personal financial statement. Because what lives between your ears is the real estate you need to purchase first before you ever go get a loan from a bank. Banks really want to get to know you as a borrower. This is the difference about working with banks that loan $1 million loans on commercial real estate. Banks want to get to know you as a borrower. They want to get to know your story, your vision, your mission. What are you up to? Why are you interested in this area? Did you grow up here? Or if you're not a town investor, why this area? Why are you excited about this specific community? Local banks want to understand you before they give money to you. Because understand, in every real estate investment, the bank is investing way more than you are. They are taking way more risk on than you are as the investor. So you have to understand when they're putting up 70 to 80% of a project, they're taking on a lot of risk. So they're going to want you to bring as much money as possible to the table. And that usually lives in the 20 to 30% range, depending on the kind of deal. Now, when coming up with 20 or 30% of $1 million loan, you're talking $200,000 to $300,000. Now, not a lot of investors have that laying around. How do you get $200,000 to $300,000 if you don't have that kind of capital, but you still want to knock down a property and leverage the loan it takes to get that property? The first thing you can do is leverage your own portfolio. You may have some other properties you already own that you can take a home equity line of credit, or as we call it, a HELOC, and you can take a home equity line of credit, borrow against one of your properties, and use that money to invest in the deal. But if you're going to leverage your own portfolio, just understand the bank is going to see that as more debt, which may make it a little harder to get another $1 million loan. But just so you know, if you're going to leverage a HELOC loan, the bank is going to see that as debt before and against the $1 million loan they're looking at giving you. Not only can you raise it from yourself, but the second way you can get this money, and it's my favorite way to get it, is by leveraging private investors. Do you know there are people out there right now that are looking for people like you investing in real estate that have deals and places to put their money? They're looking for people that they can trust with their money that are going to go out and do the right thing, put it into a property that will make money, and actually grow their portfolio and grow their income. The powerful thing about partnering with those investors is sometimes those investors make great partners to come on the loan. But we'll talk about that in a minute. When you're getting $1 million loan and you have to come up with 20 to 30% down, understanding where to come up with that money is really, really important. So as you either leverage your own portfolio or raise it from investors, you're going to have to come up from somewhere. But it's not just the 25 to 30% for the down payment. You're also going to need the acquisition cost. The acquisition cost would also include inspection, appraisal, and closing cost of a loan. So when you're underwriting a property and see how much money it's going to take to get into a property, don't just look at the down payment, also look at all the costs of acquisition. Because as you're going to get $1 million loan, you got to know what you need to come to the table with. And you need to come to the table with more than just the down payment. The second thing you need to know in order to get $1 million loan, piggybacks on the first one, is that you can partner with somebody that has the loan capacity for $1 million. Some banks will require a net worth requirement before they give you $1 million, meaning they need your net worth to be at $1 million before they give you $1 million. Or if they're going to give you $750,000, 75% of the actual project, and you're going to bring 25%, you need to have a net worth of $750,000. You essentially need to have the same net worth as the bank is going to give you. Now, that's not with all banks. Some banks won't necessarily require that, but some will. But the power of partnering with somebody is it brings somebody else in to guarantee that loan so the bank feels comfortable releasing that $1 million loan to you as an investor. But what I've realized about getting money from banks, there's always a way to get a deal done. It's just how creative and aggressive am I willing to be to make it happen. When I first started, I was willing to partner with people to get a deal done. And the question is, if you want to get that $1 million loan, do you have the ability to support that yourself, or do you need to bring on a partner? Because especially in multifamily or any sort of commercial real estate, partners make things happen. You'll rarely see large properties owned by only one person. Before we get on to the next tip, make sure that you share this video with other people that may be looking to get a $1 million loan just like you. Because again, when you're going to get a loan of this size, it's good to have the content you need in order to make it happen. So again, make sure you share this video with people looking to get a $1 million loan. The third thing you need to realize as you're going to get a loan is a bank will require a 1.2 DSCR. DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. What they want to make sure is the profit of the property is higher than the debt you'll have on the property. And 1.2 DSCR means they want the net operating income to be 1.2 times the debt on the property, meaning the principal and interest of the loan. So when a bank asks you to pay the mortgage, the principal and interest, they want to make sure your net operating income is 1.2 times that amount. By the way, if you want to figure out your net operating income, pretty easy. Take your income, minus out your expenses, and there you have it. If you take the principal and interest payment from your loan and you times it by 1.2, your NOI needs to be there or higher in order for the bank to feel comfortable giving you that kind of loan. Because again, when you step into the $1 million loan category, you're often talking about commercial real estate or a really large residence. If you're talking about a really large residence, different principles apply. But for commercial real estate or real estate that generates income, banks are going to look at the DSCR, the debt service coverage ratio, to make sure the property is covering itself. For example, I'm currently looking at a project that's 100% empty. So when we first approached the bank to get this loan done, the first thing they said to me, and this is even an experienced investor, they said, Mike, we can't do 70% on this project because it brings in no revenue. We would need 50% down on this project to feel comfortable with this because it doesn't hit 1.2 DSCR. Another thing a bank may require is what is called capital reserves. What that is an account with money in it that they essentially hold hostage until you hit that 1.2 DSCR. So for example, they might say, sure, we'll do the project at 30% down, but we need an account with the money in it to cover 2 years of mortgage payments that we can draw from if you don't make the payment. Now, when you have enough leases that meet the DSCR of 1.2, we'll release that money. And that's what we're doing on this current project. They decided to do a 70-30, but they need a capital account of money that can prove we can actually make the payments. So again, there's a lot of different ways to get a $1 million loan done. You just have to be willing to be creative and really work hard to find the money and work with the banks that are trying to get you this loan. Because again, the banks are swallowing more risk than you are. The fifth thing you need to do to get a $1 million loan is to have the PFS to support it. A PFS is a personal financial statement. Every bank, especially commercial banks, are going to ask you to create a PFS. I created one years ago, and all it does is it lists all my assets, all my debt, all my income, and at the bottom it subtracts it all and shows my net worth. They want to see your net worth, see how much debt you have, and see how much asset you have. And that's really what a personal financial statement shows. It just shows the landscape of you as a person in the financial category. As mentioned earlier, some banks will have net worth requirements, other will not. If you go with an agency lender like a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac loan, then they will have net worth requirements and you'll have to have the net worth equal to or higher than the amount that you're borrowing. But what I've realized about a $1 million loan, it is all in the mind. I'm telling you, the real estate between your ears is the first thing you need to invest in before you ever get a $1 million loan. Because I'm here to tell you, there's a ton of different ways to get a loan. You can partner with people, you can raise the money, you can build it a million different ways. But until you go there here, you'll never see it in your bank account. I only tell you that to say I held off years getting a loan this size because I couldn't go there in my mind. I couldn't see 7 figures of money showing up in my bank, so it didn't. And I'm telling you, we've got to see it here before we ever see it in reality. My very first $1 million loan, I remember it like it was yesterday. I went to the bank, I gave them my personal financial statement, and they said, "Are you kidding?" And so that I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out how I was going to get this bad boy to the finish line. So what I did was I partnered with 3 other people who brought the same amount of cash to the deal that I did. And us 3 went on the loan together and were able to get that loan done, and I still own that property today. But the point is, I didn't take no for the final answer. You'll have to take no for the current answer if the bank says that, but it's not the final answer if we can change the game. And so all I did was go out and find partners that could come into this deal with me, put up the same kind of cash I was, and we went on the loan together. So there was more mitigated risk for the bank and more personal financial statements were involved, and all of us were personally guaranteeing the loan so they could get the deal done. I have a free gift for you for tuning in today. I want to give you our free multifamily masterclass. It's a masterclass I shot that helps you get a piece of multifamily in 71 days or less. If you click the link in the description, you'll be taken to a page that can take you straight to the training. So make sure you click that link, and I'll see you on the inside.